It'll be magic when it changes.
Ring. Tada.
Ta-da! And we're back. We're going to have a rocket race. We are going to compare all 10 methods of interstellar space travel to find out which one we think is the best. We're going to have 3 criteria. The first one is feasibility. How likely is this to happen in real life? The second one is functionality. If it works as advertised, how effective is it? How safe is it? How affordable is it? How likely are you to take it? And how likely are you to recommend that your grandmother take it? And the third is coolness, which is pretty self-explanatory and also very subjective. So you will have to justify it, but not with actual facts. Just have to tell us why it's cool.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Ready.
so we each can give up to 3 points in a category with a possible total of 9. Let me introduce you to our rockets. So first up, we have the M drive. Oh, crap. It's not actually pink in real life.
It's okay.
It's like copper, I think.
It is. It looks kind of steampunky.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have solar sails.
Oh. There's way too much mass for a solar sail.
We should. Well, it's the ship they're attached to, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like we should totally make like a T-shirt with little rockets on it.
Why not?
That would be awesome.
I would wear that.
Now we have the generational ship, which ironically is one of the smaller rockets I made. They are just really crammed in there.
Yeah. Packed tight. Cozy for the long generational voyage.
Now we have
right.
cryogenics.
It's blue.
And or consciousness transfer. Since we discovered there was some overlap there. Now we have portals.
Ooh,
Very cool.
That's a cool.
These rockets
one.
are not in any way like specific to what they're for. I'm putting them up randomly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
cryogenics worked out well.
Yeah.
it did. Wormholes. Well, I mean, technically, portals doesn't even need a ship, or
Right,
wormholes doesn't.
right.
So
It's true. Well, portals don't. Wormholes would.
But the ship, it symbolizes the travel.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We now have what I am calling subspace and or alternate dimension,
Where you go crazy, but
where you go crazy. There's always a downside.
and something tries to eat you.
Indeed.
And ghasts throw fireballs at you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pesky
Yeah.
things.
This is our ramjet.
Nice.
Suitably rammy.
Right. It just needs little horns.
Somehow I ended up with like a lot of similar shapes next to each other. This is our ion drive.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
And last but not least, this is our warp drive.
Ooh.
I like the texture.
Thank you.
Yeah. Suitable for warp speed.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes.
All right.
Warp ship.
Rockets are ready to go. Okay, so
Rockets.
feasibility.
Feasibility.
Which ones do you think are feasible? We're going to go through and give a point score at the end, but let's have a general discussion first as to which ones do we think are feasible.
Starting from left to right,
Sure, why not?
let's start with M drive.
Yeah.
I personally do not think it's feasible. I think it's a false negative and it can't work.
So we haven't been able to measure thrust off of it, but if we are somehow able, if it does generate thrust, let's just assume it works.
Okay.
If we're getting a net gain off of what we're putting into the system, that's a dream come true. And if we scale it up and that remains true, then we can put quite a few of them in a place and get a lot of thrust. We can scale it down maybe and have very small ones that generate even smaller amounts of thrust, but we cover the surface of a ship with them. There's all kinds of implementations that.
But that's the second category. That's not feasibility. That's the I forget what we were calling the second category, Ted.
Functionality, or you could go with effectiveness.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't. I mean, there's no way to. It hasn't. The effectiveness of the drive hasn't been proven. I'm just sort of, if it is what they say it is or what they hope it is, then it would be amazing.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And it would
I
be
agree.
a game changer on the highest order.
Well, yeah.
Of everything, not just space travel, but everything.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, yeah. We'd have. I mean, the technology would probably find a lot of places to be adapted to, but who knows?
But feasibility wise, how likely do you think it is that this is actually something that'll work?
Not very likely at all.
Okay, so 0 to 3. I'm gonna give it a 1.
I'm thinking a 1.
Only because I think the idea of a perpetual motion machine has been around for so long
Mm-hmm.
that I think eventually we will find a way. But I don't think it's going to be the M drive.
Yeah, I'm thinking
So
a
I'm gonna
1
give
is
it-
good.
1 point for you too.
Yeah.
And so we give it a maximum of 3 points based on feasibility.
Actually,
Yes.
And
I'm gonna.
I'm sorry. What are the other 2 criteria?
Wait, hold on a second. Did I even do my math right?
3
Well,
of us
if-
and 3 points each.
If 3 points each means that we can give 9 with 1 category.
Right, and yeah, that's not what it's supposed to be.
So 1 point each.
I guess it would be
1 point for each
Okay, so we have
category.
categories. We need 9. There are 3 categories. So yeah, up to 3 points. So we can each give 1 point in each category. That's not as cool as I was hoping.
We need.
I mean, a 1 or a
27.
0 is cool enough. It's very geeky.
Yeah,
Geek chic.
that's true.
It is right.
So I'm going to
Binary.
change my vote then to a 0. I don't think it's feasible. So next we're going to talk about the
I see.
feasibility of solar sails.
Oh, okay.
I think that one is very feasible.
Yeah.
I think you don't need a lot of material. You could have really thin, light ones that would deploy as needed. And I think even if it wasn't always your primary propulsion system, it would be a really handy additional one, minimally. And I think it's extremely feasible. We have solar panels on Earth. So
We have solar sails in space right now.
Yeah.
mhm.
One of the main limiting factors I remember reading about is simply the cost of solar panels. Like, apparently they are crazy expensive.
There's
I
a
read one
difference between solar panels and solar sails, right? Because I feel like they're getting used interchangeably and they're very different things.
They are different. They may overlap a little bit, meaning you may be able to pull power in through. They both use solar cells, possibly.
Oh, okay.
But I remember them saying that they're expensive. These solar arrays
Yeah.
Mhm.
are expensive, also for powering the ship, like solar panels for powering the ship in addition to your solar sails. But they're working on this new technology that like spreads out and filters all the sunlight down into one solar cell at the bottom. So it's
Oh,
like
wow.
a big array, and
Wow.
it just tears down and focuses it. So with that, I think possibly even interstellar use of solar sails and or panels might work if you can collect sunlight enough.
Yeah.
Energy to and have batteries and stuff to contain it, and then yeah, could be that would be intriguing.
So
Okay,
yeah,
so I'm assuming Clara gave it a 1,
definitely.
and I am going to give it a 1.
I'll give it a 1 as well.
Okay, cool. Wow,
Pulling ahead.
pulling ahead. Okay, next up, generational ships. You think we'll ever have them?
So for generational ships, I think if we can in fact conceive and carry a pregnancy to term in space, then there could also be some moral questions about essentially forcing your offspring to have the same job that you did and putting that on the next generation. You have to not only have this job, but do this specific mission, and that's what you're going to do no matter what. But do I think it's feasible that it could happen? Yeah, I think it could. I would give it a 1.
Nick? Okay. What do you think, Nick?
I think if it were carefully planned, it's feasible. And yeah, I mean, there would be a more challenges than most things that I can imagine in trying to put it together. Our first experiment biospheres didn't go so well. Not only if excluding Earth being kind of thrashed at the moment. There was an experiment in the 90s isolating 8 people into a biosphere, and it was horribly planned, and it went awry, and they came out fractioned into 2 groups, like Lord of the Flies style,
That's true.
not talking to each other. And during the process, they had to have multiple things brought in from the outside. It ruined the experiment.
Someone got hurt and had to leave. And
I want to say it was a biosphere project, but we can note that in the comments or whatever. But I don't know if that's correct, but it was bad. And generational ships, if something's going bad on that order, it's going really bad. So I would say, with an immense amount of planning, like you might be able to get from an AI, or like computer programs beyond what we have now, able to foresee things that we might not, could work. Definitely could work.
so
So is that a 1?
That's one.
Okay. I think I'm going to buck the trend here, and I'm going to say I don't think they're feasible. Like, it's a fantastic idea, and I will bet you if we find any way to fly through space, people are going to take off with their kids. You're going to get religious sects that feel like they can't have, enough peace and quiet on Earth and things like that. But the classic concept of the generational ship, where you send 200 people plus on a completely enclosed loop to go settle a new planet, I don't think that's totally feasible. I think there's too many problems to solve, organizational not the least among them.
Right.
Like you said, it could get very Lord of the Flies with 200 people trapped on a ship for possibly several hundred years.
Yeah,
That's very true.
I think a more feasible model for a generational ship is not to take the minimum required for genetic diversity, which was 200, and do something more along the orders of magnitude larger, to where you've got a ship big enough, you have a driver big enough, like far into the future, well after all these technologies are developed to their end, and you have a huge population that sends out colonists and manufactures all the things those colonists need, actually goes through the universe harvesting materials it needs, and it's self-sustaining in the same way planet would be, sort of. Like, I think then it makes more sense, but on a scale, on a smaller scale, it's probably not. Because I think
I don't see it organizationally being put together like that. Like,
Probably
I see
not.
so many ways that entire thing could follow, whether we're talking the traditional 2 to 500 or something more planet-sized. There are so many ways for that effort to just totally fall apart before they're anywhere near going into space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of adaptations. Some of the futurists that I've been watching, like, cryogenic sleep would be an adaptation to the changing mental state of the process of aging that people would undergo. In addition to, while they just live a whole lot longer, they could come out of cryosleep at the right time, do a maneuver, go back into cryosleep. They don't have time to think about why they're doing this or why it's important or whether or not
And
they
they're not
hate the
passing
great
it on to
leader
their
or
descendants.
whatever it is. Exactly.
Yeah.
In the context of all those other kinds of technologies to keep things kind of steady state, but like actually reproducing and having families do it is just probably not gonna work.
Yeah, I don't know that we're ever going to figure out the health problems involved with reproducing. Certainly not multiple generations in space and then having them be planet ready at the end.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
Unless we can develop artificial gravity.
Yeah, that's going to be
Yeah.
a requirement.
Mhm.
I mean, you can kind of
But-
do it with inertia, but like spinning
yeah.
a thing, but
Yeah, which, you were talking about the O'Neill cylinder, which for a generational ship would be perfect. That's huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
a
Or it
lot of
can be.
volume, but not as much mass.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you
And
need, crazy power and stuff to.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but you mentioned cryogenics. So, as a method the idea where you go to sleep and then you wake up when you get to the planet you're
Right.
supposed to,
Mhm.
how feasible do we think that is?
More feasible than generational ship.
Really?
Really?
I would say less.
If we have the I'm assuming that we have the technology to thaw people out. It's proven technology, And
No, that
No.
would be part of if it's feasible or not. This
Yeah.
is, will this happen in real life?
Yeah,
we
first
think it will?
first part is
Based on right now.
probably not.
I think no.
No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're ever going to learn how to thaw people out.
Or just freeze
What about
them so that we're not
consciousness transfer?
destroying the. Oh,
Could be.
I think that goes to a very philosophical question about what is it that makes you you? Is it your memories and
Yeah.
experiences, or is it the you that's experiencing and remembering those things? I don't.
And
I personally don't think we'll ever have a real one-to-one like personality consciousness transfer. I personally don't think that's possible.
I think we will in the next 50 years.
ooh.
Yes.
I think we might get close on the technology, but not that close, and people would never let it happen.
Mhm.
But, so, I'm going to go with 0 for cryogenic / consciousness transfer. I don't think we're ever going to master those technologies, as cool as they may sound.
I
Same.
feel like maybe not cryogenics, but interfacing with technology in a way that extends our lives and blurs the lines between human and computer and machine is definitely going to happen. We're already there. We have prosthetics that are amazing, and that's just the beginning. Like, it's going to get so much crazier as some crazier materials come out, and there are a lot of smart people looking at it, and there's so much potential there.
So you give it a 1, I assume.
I do give the concept of consciousness transference, not necessarily cryogenics, a 1.
Okay.
And yeah, I just think the form that it's going to take we're going to lose our humanity by little pieces, and then it's not going to matter. Losing our humanity is literally just saying we're losing our physical, corporeal states in a lot of cases, and not necessarily our souls or anything grim.
Well, not necessarily our souls, but I think you could argue. I don't know. I already said I think what I think about it. I don't think consciousness transfer.
I
would
want a
necessarily
cyborg
be-
body. I'm going to have a cyborg
Well,
body.
I mean,
That's what I'm thinking.
I'll be honest, I would have chosen to be a brain in a jar years ago if it were an option.
Yeah, I would have done the same. Called myself Dr.
Yeah.
Wheelo, moved to
Okay.
the Alps, or somewhere cold.
No, I think you have to just live in the passive voice once that happens to you, so you don't move to the Alps, you get moved to the Alps, because you're
Yeah.
just in a jar. People have to carry you.
I mean, I would assume a few more accessories on that jar, like spider legs for one,
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be an excellent accessory.
right?
Of course.
Some kind of
Internet
camera.
access.
Internet
Mhm,
access
mhm,
would be
mhm.
great.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Then you could ship yourself to the Alps, and you would move to the Alps.
Yeah.
2-day Prime delivery.
As long as I'm a brain in a jar, I would like an interface programmed to where I have a visual representation of myself within my brain, and I can just, it's like a holodeck. Like, why not?
Yes.
Why not?
Yeah.
We can do that. If
Yeah.
we
I want
can have
holodecks.
living brain in jars with,
Mhm. I'd
brain
take a
patterns
holodeck.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
Even if we can't, I want a holodeck.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'll
same.
be fair, that was the technology more than anything else on Star Trek that I wanted was a holodeck.
Maybe
Oh,
that will
yeah.
get us to the stars.
Especially.
Well, it would solve a lot of the problems with generational ships.
It would.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
People could pretty much do whatever anytime.
Yeah. Okay, so our next one is portals. Where we
No.
place both ends. You don't think that's feasible?
I don't think that's going to happen in our lifetimes or anyone's.
No.
I really
What about
don't.
you, Clara?
I don't either. I mean, granted, I'm not a physicist, but I don't understand even a little bit how you can possibly do that. Like, if wormholes are not even maybe kind of real, how do we think we can, like, make essentially what? Like, if it were possible, wouldn't we just be doing it on Earth? Like,
That's true.
just step through a portal and you're in Europe?
Maybe,
Yeah.
Like,
maybe if a repulsing type of matter, exists to where we can, like, keep it open or something like that.
I don't.
Maybe
Yeah.
We slip it in there.
uh,
at a time when
Do I-
it's going.
yeah, but
And
that
then-
would be kind of an adaptation of wormholes.
true.
Yeah.
I think portals, like fully basically artificial wormholes, are slightly more likely than using natural ones. Honestly, I don't
Yeah.
know why.
I would
but
tend
I
to
do.
agree with that. Yeah, I mean,
So I'm almost tempted, like, if it were a 0 to 3 scale, I'd give it, like, maybe a 1. But since it's only yes or no, I'm going to say no. I don't think portal technology is super feasible. But,
Right.
man, I wish it were.
Yeah. Well, because then, yeah, even like just not even the space stuff, but even just on Earth, how cool would
Yeah.
that be to be like, I'm gonna go on a vacation to Japan. I'm there. Yeah, done.
Yep. Okay, but that's effectiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And also coolness, because portals are cool. But wormholes. Do we think wormholes are ever going to be used to get to other solar systems?
one note about portals. I do think Portals has the coolest ship,
Yeah.
by the way.
It
So-
does have a pretty
really?
cool
Yeah.
ship.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're quite
Um,
welcome.
I don't think wormholes are feasible. I think
No.
even if they are real, harnessing them and them being any kind of reliable at like road to another place and back like over and over again, which is the way people usually think of them, is I don't think.
Yeah.
0.
Nick?
I definitely don't think that one's feasible. I mean, if it's modeled in the way that that you described, it's a really cool idea, and who knows, there's going to be all kinds of interesting materials that might have properties that could do something with one of those areas of space, but that also would involve finding that area of space without dying as soon as you got there, and then being able to radio back like, hey, there's a wormhole and it cut our ship in half, but we're okay.
We're fine.
Yeah. So I think, like, maybe, but I'm gonna put it right with portals, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Same here. I mean, honestly, if wormholes are real and they do exist, I see them ending up something more like the Bermuda Triangle, where it just disappears occasionally and nobody's quite sure what happened to it,
Yeah.
rather than anything we could reliably use as transportation.
Same.
Well, I mean, there's evidence for space-time bending and doing very weird things, especially where large gravity wells are at play and that kind of thing. And, galaxies probably themselves have massive gravitational fields, right? So
I
maybe
imagine.
maybe there are wormholes. Maybe when you get to the edge of a galaxy, you just appear in another galaxy or something like that. But we're never going to know because we're never going to be there. We're never going to get to the edge of the galaxy. Although we are close-ish. We're on an arm.
It's a bold statement.
I don't know. Like, I just think it's a very, very distant place.
Allegedly, in his opinion.
Unless-
don't sue us,
And we're gonna
scientists.
get a little ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
But if they get the warp drive working,
Well,
Yeah.
it's true.
Mhm,
It's true.
mhm.
We just have to learn how to bend space-time, and then we don't need to worry about all this light stuff.
Easy peasy.
yeah.
Yeah, that one's feasible.
But I think if we can learn how to bend space-time, we're back to more portal technology than wormholes, except that you may not have to go build the other gate.
Maybe. But
So-
You just punch a hole and see what you end up with, and then go through and put the gate down and be like, yes, we have a gate to this random planet.
it feels like there's a big difference between bending and punching a hole. But I couldn't
Yeah.
describe to you how it's different, so I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
It just feels different.
It does.
It does. I'll agree with you. It does feel different.
And who knows, we could
Okay.
end up like that one movie. Those
Right.
open a portal to hell.
Oh God.
Oh yeah,
The
subspace,
Subspace.
Oh, Subspace.
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon, yes.
Oh my gosh, that movie! I really wanted to see that movie because they advertised it like a science fiction movie, and it was not. It was a horror movie with a science fiction premise, and I got about a quarter into it, and I could not get out because I love horror, but it's always with a specific distance.
Right.
And like, I left in the middle to go smoke, and like take 20 minutes off, and I still could not get out of that movie.
Yeah.
And then they got to the
Wow.
end, and it had that horror thing where, is it over? And I'm like, I had nightmares for over a week, and I was a
Wow.
grown up.
That,
like-
yeah. I think I saw that
And
when I
that-
was 12. Or
Oh,
younger.
I don't know how you did that.
Modern
But that
child.
thing where he holds the eyeballs up and he says something in Latin, it to me,
Yeah.
what reminded me of is the Watuchi, the twist. Take these, brother. May they serve you well, which I think was one of the Revolution songs by the Beatles. They've got this talky bit in the middle where they say that, and it has the exact same cadence as that dude with the eyeballs speaking in Latin.
Oh wow.
So that's the visual I get now every time I hear that bit of that song. Is some guy holding eyeballs.
Oh wow. That's yeah.
Yeah,
It's not good.
The Latin in that was really. I mean, it was just a crazy movie.
It was a crazy movie.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it again at some point.
But who knows? Maybe
knowing what I'm getting into.
You know, I honestly think subspace is just as likely to kill us as whatever was on the other side of the event horizon black hole thing. Whatever they did, punched a hole. So who knows? Maybe they went to subspace. Maybe that's what happens.
Maybe they did.
Maybe they did.
But no, based on our current understanding of the universe, I think this is highly unlikely.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any subspace.
Same.
And everything travels light speed. So
seems well that we can see.
That's the fastest it can. Yeah, exactly.
That we know of.
Right.
But I mean,
well, light travels light speed.
And I think gamma rays do, and like all the rays that we know of, and
there aren't any faster than light speed?
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not that we know of.
I mean, I could be totally wrong, and I hope I am, and I get someone who goes like, hey, you're totally wrong, because then we got a commenter. And I'll be like, oh.
Yeah, that's true.
Whoa,
we have a commenter who knows about science.
I am ignorant.
That'll be nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
but we are all ignorant.
We're learning. That's what this is about.
Sure.
It's all about learning.
Yeah. I'm thinking, my vote is 0 on the subspace. Just because I think even if it is a thing, we probably cannot perceive it, let alone know how to even kind of access it or navigate it.
I mean, in my opinion, we're in subspace right now. Because we're not in
it's really deep.
freaking space. We're subspace.
We are in space.
I mean, technically, a subspace is any range that is completely surrounded by another range. So we are. Earth is a subspace of space. But it doesn't seem to get us anywhere else in the universe any faster.
My pocket is a subspace of Earth.
Of your pants.
And it is also a subspace of your pants. Yes,
it is.
Claire.
All right. I think with that scientific revelation, we're done here.
No, I need a bag of holding.
I think so. Yes. Ramjet.
Ramjet.
You better not.
That's the suck up the hydrogen.
Yeah, that's the suck up the hydrogen loops of power thing.
Yeah.
I think
we can get there.
I think it's feasible.
Yeah. I think it's feasible. I think it's dangerous. I mean, we have trouble with stationary power plants not attached to a vehicle. But
that's true.
But I think that one's potentially feasible. We could probably do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1. All around.
How would we slow down? Just
also,
the other direction.
Also, that's assuming force fields that can suck up hydrogen is real. That part I don't think is real.
I know.
I think it's theoretical at this point.
There's a lot of angles to this.
I'm gonna say 0, just because I think parts of it are feasible, but I don't think giant collector force fields are.
Okay. I don't know science, so I'm gonna give it a 1. In that, we don't know how to do it yet, but a lot of people in the field have looked at it and not been like, it does nothing, like the M drive, but said, well, we don't know how to do it yet.
Right.
True.
But
it's
so
exciting.
I'm gonna give it a 1.
It's exciting. Someday we could be, strapped on top of a giant nuclear bomb. Riding
or 10,000 of them,
as if we were sitting on a chair and they're just going off beneath us, propelling us forward. Yeah, it'd be great. I'm gonna love it.
So, are you giving it a 1 then?
No.
Okay.
No.
I am alone in my faith in the ramjet.
I don't think our materials are there. I mean, I think if we made it out of diamond, and we blew up that many nukes behind it, it wouldn't matter. Eventually that thing would crack and we'd be in space flying at nuclear speeds. But either that or we'd just keep going faster and faster and faster. We'd eventually get really, really close to the speed of light. We'd stretch infinitely. We'd see the end of the universe and then whatever came afterwards, because relativity and junk.
But technically, that would get us somewhere.
Sure.
Yeah, we'd be everywhere.
And nowhere.
Splattered
Universe.
atomically.
Okay, fine.
Eek.
All right, so
What a way
getting
to
back
go.
closer to the realm of possibility, ion drives. Feasible?
I think it's definitely feasible. I think they're operating to an extent, and they create thrust and relatively cheap thrust, both in terms of weight.
Sorry.
Relatively cheap thrust. There's a lot of places to get relatively cheap thrust.
Yes, there are.
Anywhere really.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but it's probably possible.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm going to go with one as well because
Yeah.
they're using them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can at least make them. You know, if
Feasibility.
nothing
Mhm.
else.
Pulling ahead, ion drive, or pulling up with solar sails.
I like
like-
our pattern.
Yeah, look, it's so
M.
symmetrical.
Yeah,
For M drive.
it is.
No, not for M drive.
Warp drive.
Give it a 1.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay,
I don't
Clara.
think.
Yeah. Give it a 1.
I mean, the theory
I
is sound somehow.
I don't know. I feel
don't
like it
either.
is. I feel
Yeah.
like we have a hard time comprehending what time really is, but I think time is another dimension that we only see this little bit of. And if somehow we could figure out a way to move more fully into that dimension and then out of it, I think I don't know. I think we could do it. Flatlanders, seeing a balloon, man. We could do it.
I think I'm gonna. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I
I
know.
really want it to be feasible. Is part of the problem. Like,
Mhm.
I really want it to be feasible,
I
but
know, right?
I'm gonna say 0 on this one just because we have no idea how it would actually work because those particles are so far just theoretical.
Right.
It's true.
I mean, that's true. And I mean, what I'm basing, I mean, it's tough to say. I don't know. Maybe it's not feasible. I want it to be feasible really
Maybe
bad.
your heart
But-
just says it is.
But
It's okay.
I'm
Hey,
being told.
I have faith in the ramjet, man. I'm
By-
not.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm not ashamed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my intuition is telling me that it's going to take more power to bend space-time to move faster than light than we will ever generate somehow.
I mean, maybe.
But I don't know. Who knows?
So are you
Maybe.
retracting your point?
For feasibility, sure. Damn it.
Okay.
I'll be the lone holdout for the warp
Sorry,
drive.
warp drive. You got demoted.
I still love you, warp drive.
I think the theory is
Keeping
like
the dream,
valid, that
the dream alive.
it makes sense that you could expand and contract space-time to move things in a position, but the power requirement to do so would probably be like you'd have to be moving a sun, but you can't because it's so big
You don't
and
know
it's so
that.
massive.
You don't
that-
know how much energy it would take to manipulate time.
You're right, I don't.
But none of us, we're all guessing here. So.
Like no, 100%.
Because I know exactly how we're going to get to ramjet technology. I'm just holding it a secret to keep humanity tethered to Earth and keep me poor.
I knew it. I
Did
knew
you-
this was your plan all along,
Did
Ted.
you get a future almanac?
I did, but, or I will. I'm not sure which.
I has done it.
What just happened? I'm confused.
We time jumped
Oh,
into the second
I
category.
think we're going to warp space time all the way back to the M
It's a
drive.
continuum.
So I'm going to do this a little out of order. Let's talk coolness, because honestly, I think
Okay.
functionality or effectiveness is going to be we're going to have a lot of fun conversation on that. And
Mhm.
coolness, though cool, is less to talk about.
True.
So let's start with coolness. How cool do you think is the M drive? Is it cool?
If it works the way it's advertised, like theoretically, if they work perfectly, how cool are they?
No, just is the concept cool,
Oh,
I
okay.
guess.
Right.
And I'm going to have to give it a 1 on this because if it worked, it would violate all known physical laws of the universe.
That's such
And
a
it would
rebel.
change everything.
That would be cool.
It's a very rebellious thing to do, and everyone knows rebels are cool. So, well,
And also,
status quo
somebody
shakers,
got
I don't know.
like 5 or more like national level space organizations to pour a whole lot of research money into a hollow copper tube.
That's true. I don't
That's
know.
chutzpah.
It's true. I think it's cool. I mean, if we
Okay.
can get something out of nothing, that's always cool, right? Free lunch style. Copper tube.
Yeah, I have a hard time with calling it cool. I mean, I think of cool as the highest thrust to weight ratio, like the highest efficiency and the biggest freaking engine that is the most powerful cool engine.
That's true.
So I think having an M drive giving you like infinitely tiny like bits
It's
of
infinite
thrust,
energy,
like
but it'll take you forever to get any.
like
True.
somebody's grandma as you hurtle through the universe at like walker speed, and eventually you'll get to like slightly faster than that. It's gonna take so long. You're
Yeah.
gonna be old. You will no longer be cool. There are so many reasons why it's not cool. Plus, you'll need
Yeah.
1 billion of them to get anywhere fast. Is the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of my thing, when I said copper tube, I immediately thought, okay, maybe that's not cool.
Yeah.
Because copper
Yeah.
It's
just like a pipe.
Yeah.
But-
no, I mean, if we were
Yeah.
going to do the 0 through 3 scale, I might give it a 1 for coolness, for being like,
Yeah.
nothing we think works, but it's not worth a full point of coolness if the options are cool or not cool.
I agree.
On the other hand, I do think operating via unknown rules is kind of cool in the context of theories of how things work.
It plays by its
So-
own rules.
Yeah, in the context of how things work. I don't usually think that's cool.
It doesn't care about your physics.
No. It's a rebel.
I don't care about your
cool.
physics, Dad.
But so I would give it a half point.
Yeah.
If I may.
Okay, so wait, how about this? So it's supposed to be 1 to 3 points per person, but how about we all agree that it is like 1/3 point cool, and we'll give it 1 for all 3 of us.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Fair. Yes.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can live with that.
One collective point.
Yeah. There you go, M Drive.
There you go. You're not stuck on the starting line.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to call it a participation trophy.
So,
Plus, the diagram still looks cool.
yeah, it looks like a M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for solar sails, I think super cool. Not only is it literally likely, they look badass. Like everything I've ever seen is this beautiful like fan of like metallic, like gorgeous, awesome. I think super
That's
cool.
true.
Super cool.
I've seen a couple that look a bit like a parachute made out of aluminum foil, but I think they were bad
That's
pictures.
still cool. That's still hella cool. I say cool.
I mean,
Point. Cool.
I say cool personally. Yeah, they've got a real cool like steampunk possible aesthetic going with them,
Mhm.
with like the gold and
yes.
and they're like sailing. Like you can't just be like, oh bloop, we're there. Like you
Yeah.
still have to tack and
Yeah.
like sail. And the nanobots is just kind of the nanoprobes idea.
Yeah.
Is the fleet
It's
of
so
solar sails is it's cool.
it's so elegant. I love it.
I really like the idea of going to the stars with a sailing ship. I think it's neat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's cool.
Solar sails is
Pulling ahead.
doing well so far in our race.
Right. So solar
Okay.
solar sails are pulling
Generational
ahead.
ships. Are they cool?
No one wants to live with your
Not-
parents though.
Not cool.
No. No.
Not only are you living with your
No.
parents, but you have to do the same job your parents did, or
See,
and
part of
continue
me
their
wants to say they're
mission.
cool. Not that they're cool, but like there's so many story ideas.
Conceptually,
Well-
they're pretty neat, like in some ways, but
Mm.
realistically, that is not
Yeah.
what humans want to do.
I just think like
unless they're big enough to get away from your parents.
imagine your parents both worked at Costco, and then you were born and had to live your whole life in that Costco, knowing that the only thing you could do when you grow up was work at that frickin'
at Costco.
You
Costco.
slept on a pallet of diapers.
And then they're like, maybe when you're 70, you get to leave the Costco and go hang out at the park next door.
Like a little tiny bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, I mean, talk about rebellion. What if somebody rebels against their parents or the order that is teaching them or whatever it is? Like, one person has to freak out, and then it just goes from
Everybody's
there.
dead.
Everybody is dead. Like,
All you need is one
freak out.
rebellious teenager to kill everyone.
Literally, yeah. I
Potentially.
mean,
And I mean, essentially, they'd be giant cruise ships. Like, going on a cruise could be interesting depending on like what you can see from the boat or where you go, but being on the cruise has never appealed to me because you're basically stuck in a hotel
yeah.
for your entire
We've-
vacation,
we've only got, like,
surrounded
half-
by water.
Half your face in the frame right now, by the way. There you go.
what's up?
Fine.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Also,
So a generational ship would be like being stuck in a hotel for the rest of your life.
well, and also most of the time when people are like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go on a cruise," they're talking about the destination and then they're talking about all the free food and the alcohol.
Yes.
So unless your generational ship has a bunch of like sweet buffets and all you can drink margaritas, I don't think
Well,
it's gonna be. You know,
ironically, remember that one I mentioned a while back about it was a generational ship that started in the 60s? It was a TV show.
mm.
That was essentially set up like a cruise line
Oh wow.
for a lot of the same reasons. Keep people happy. And they had classes just like the old cruise ships.
Oh, dear.
Mhm.
So there were like the paying passenger levels, and then there were the maintenance people at the very bottom. And
You can
but
like
yeah, they did do that probably as a way to circumvent some of the issues you're
Yeah.
gonna run into.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have people living their whole life on a ship, you're gonna need a Zumba class or something. Like-
Absolutely. Especially when all it takes is one disgruntled teenager to kill everyone.
Just have them all get on treadmills and start running that ship wherever it's going. Just
Yeah.
get some of that energy out of your system, teenagers.
I'm gonna say not cool.
Definitely not cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not cool. I agree.
Sorry, generational ships.
I know.
The color's cool, though.
Cryogenics. And or consciousness transfer. The idea of slow ships that were human at the beginning and were human at the end, but there is an in-between state where we're asleep or something.
I don't know if I believe in the whole, like, a literally frozen person, especially when the processes that we have now often will inject antifreeze into them, and stuff like that. Now, they can thaw those tissues, like they actually do. I remember researching this. They do cryogenically freeze tissues for, like, transplant, like livers and that
Mhm.
kind of thing, and it works.
Really?
Yeah, but they freeze them and they flash freeze them at an incredibly cold temperature, and they don't replace anything with antifreeze, I don't think.
No.
But they've been able to do that, and I don't remember the exact process, but so it's theoretically possible. I think something more like hibernation is more believable.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not.
But not
super
believable.
cool.
How cool is that? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, not cool. I think
Just wanted to clarify my point, or my
Okay.
view of cryogenics. Very important.
yeah. I think it's cool. I think it'd be cool. Like being I think cryogenics, like going into hibernation, waking up, cool. Consciousness transfer, I personally don't think it's that cool.
You know what's
Uh-oh.
not cool about cryogenics? You go to sleep, you wake up, you do a thing, you get back in your ship, you go to sleep, you wake up, you're back home, and it's like 300 years later. That's not very cool.
Yeah, the time dilation problem would be an issue.
Well, I'm not even sure that's technically time dilation because they're not going at a
Oh,
relativistic
that's true.
speed. It's
Fuzzy.
just
That's true.
yeah, it's just they're asleep for that long or hibernating or whatever it is.
That's
and,
assuming
yeah,
you're
everyone's-
coming
Yeah.
back.
Like, do you remember
but-
Aliens when they were going around in their colonial marine ships and they all woke up from stasis and they,
Mhm.
and they picked up Ripley. It had been 67 years or something, and her family was dead, and
yeah.
that's the whole reason she went to that colony. And
But I mean, you could have people do the cryogenic ships who understood that and maybe didn't have much of a family or accepted that. Like,
Especially if they're one-way settlement ships.
Yeah.
Like, you can't come back to Earth anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more believable.
Yeah.
Using it as a means of common conveyance between. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
So,
But how cool is it?
Not very
I'm gonna...
cool.
I think it's cool.
Clara, you think it's cool?
I'm not going to give this one.
I think it's cool.
Alright, it's gonna get 1 coolness point.
I mean, we wouldn't have Avatar. The movie
Which
Avatar.
Avatar?
The movie with the blue people.
It's because they stole so much from aliens.
They do the
They stole
cryogenic.
from, like, everybody.
Yeah. Well, it was James Cameron, right? So James Cameron can't steal from James Cameron, so maybe
That's
he didn't
true.
steal from
It
aliens.
was like his big masterwork he'd been dreaming of doing for a long
Yeah.
time or something like
And
that.
I think it may have been Mark Twain, but I don't care. I'm gonna steal it. Who said, "Amateurs plagiarize, professionals steal."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems accurate.
As long as you give credit, it counts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so portals. Are portals cool?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, portals are super cool.
Especially if you throw one down at the bottom of a really deep gravity well and then and then put the other one like facing away from that planet or whatever direction you want to travel in, and then just jump in.
Now you're thinking with portals.
I am thinking with. I've played Portal. It's a great game.
It is.
Oh man,
Yeah.
good times.
Super
Companion
cool.
cubes
Okay.
for everyone.
Cake is a lie.
It is.
The
And
portals
GLaDOS is
are
mean.
cool.
They are.
Portals are indeed cool. What about wormholes? Are wormholes cool?
I would say so.
Yes, I think less cool than portals.
Really? I think they're kind of more cool than portals.
I think
But I like randomness.
I think portals are more cool just because they can be everywhere and for anything. You could have them on Earth to do stuff or put them
That's
somewhere.
true. You can have a
and you
portal
don't-
for crap. I forgot my phone downstairs.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about them like moving.
God, you really have to watch Rick and Morty.
Okay.
But I think wormholes are cool. I think wormholes are cool.
I think they're cool, especially if they involve aliens that live inside the wormhole.
Ooh, yeah.
Also, I like that they have a whole like bending space time.
They're sexier than most means of conveyance.
Sexy.
That is true. And I like the idea that we don't control them.
Yeah,
That is kind of it does make them cool.
they're
Like, it
rebellious.
makes them a bit less effective, and we'll get there in a minute, but it does kind of make them cooler.
They're
Like, if you're just out in
dangerous.
space and a wormhole opens, you're like, I don't know what's on the other side.
Dangerous.
There's no way you go in.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, that depends on
It's
whether
open.
you have anything to go back to.
I mean, you're lucky if you notice it before it kills you. Apparently, like everything in space.
Oh, that's true.
Mhm.
That's true. Well, okay. Yes, like everything in space.
Yeah, apparently. Yes.
Okay, so subspace. The idea of an alternate dimension in which time is shorter or space is smaller. Or both.
Horn.
I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
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 I think if we were
Especially-
doing like a 0 to 3, I'd be right around the 2. So I think I'm more towards. It's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good measure. Yeah.
cool.
I would give it a point.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Nice.
I'm noticing kind of a reverse trend here on
More.
feasibility and coolness.
This is
There's a
a,
reverse correlation.
Mhm.
yeah. I feel like this is a common thing as to why many projects get taken up that are then later abandoned. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, we really liked that idea, but
It's not very
Doesn't
cool.
work.
doesn't work.
Yeah. Or
Damn it.
Yeah.
the idea is really cool, but it's never gonna work.
But that only lasts until the next scientist is like, but it's so cool. There
Yeah.
has to be a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay, ramjet. Is
Cool.
the ramjet cool?
Give it
Yes.
a point.
Yes.
For me.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Personal point.
Hella cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Yeah, it
nothing-
was one that I wouldn't have guessed going into this. I would like this because it's so crunchy, I guess you'd say. It's so hard science and big and vast, and it's cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I feel like it's so cool it could be a compliment. Like, how people used to say now you're cooking with gas, you could say now you're thinking ramjet. Like
Yep.
it's very
like it.
very
I like
big
it.
idea, like this-
Self-sustaining and powerful and
Mhm.
unstoppable.
it's the one
Mhm.
big engine that goes the fastest and it is the coolest.
We should
Yes.
we should totally start saying, now you're thinking ramjet. I like it.
Well, full disclosure, apparently there is an actual engine for airplanes
Yes.
called a ramjet.
Yes, there is. I was
So
confused.
if you're around Boeing
Yeah.
people or something, you'd have to specify that it's a Brassard ramjet, I
Gotcha.
guess.
Well, I mean, we don't see many of those around here. You know, they try
No.
and fly down, and then the plane crashes for some reason. But
I'm fairly sure there's regular air traffic between Washington and California.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I could.
737 Max
That could be made up.
I think there
not
is.
so much.
Yeah. So cool. I think very cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
I like the ramjet. Also, the name.
Ion Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Ion Drive.
It's
Yeah.
I'm lukewarm in the coolness department on the Ion Drive. I
Yeah.
would give it a half
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm lukewarm to cool. Like, the name is cool, and it glows blue, apparently, which is kind of cool. But mostly it's just like a whole lot of nudging you places very slowly because it's almost as slow as the M Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, accurate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nah.
1/2 point. Anyone? 3rd point?
No.
Just no.
No,
Sorry,
not cool
Drive.
enough.
I tried.
Sorry.
I tried.
Sorry.
Can't
Warp drive,
muster
What
it
about the
up.
warp drive?
Give it a point.
Hella cool. Give it all the
All
points.
the points.
All the
We
points.
want the warp drive. Science, give us the warp drive. It's been decided. Do it.
Okay, now the deep topic, which is effectiveness or functionality. If it works as advertised in the theory,
Mm-hmm.
how well does it work? Start with the M Drive.
I don't really feel like. Just let's see.
Oh, you just lost. Never mind. It's back.
I was just gonna say. Let me put this out there. I don't know anything about the physics of the M Drive. I don't know what its efficiency is. I don't know hardly anything about it, except you're getting out more than you're putting in, and that is kind of a holy grail in the context of space. In a lot of ways,
And everything in a lot of ways.
yeah, and so
Free lunch. I think if it were to work the way they say it should, then awesome. I definitely a point, because something for nothing is like, yeah, the dream of space travel.
well, there's still microwaves, but microwaves exist in space on their own. Who knows? We could conduct them. I mean, we could create them from energy and batteries that we harvest from nearby stars as we pass by. You know, so
I usually stop and pick up a few packs of batteries whenever I pass by a planet.
yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can never be too careful.
And usually a half gallon of milk too.
Yeah,
Mhm. Oh, at least.
yeah. We go through
Yeah,
milk
yeah.
like you would believe.
Maybe some jerky.
You would not believe how much milk we go through. Crazy. I'm like 95% milk at this point.
Well, I actually did discover there. It took me a bit, but I found out there is such a thing as more milk than I can drink, and that was having a dairy goat who produced almost a full gallon, no, a little over a gallon every day.
Oh my god.
That's a lot of milk.
I could not
Yeah.
quite keep up with that, even with
No.
cheese and
No.
yogurt making.
like,
No.
be sick. You can't do it.
A lot of protein there,
I
though.
tried though. Yeah. Well, yeah, we spent. I think we added it up once. At one point, we were spending $500 a month to feed our animals, so we ate pretty much milk, eggs, and ramen.
Wow. That's I'm not sure that's a fair trade, but there you go.
No, but they were snuggly. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
yeah.
So I say M Drive a point. It's obviously,
Okay.
if it were to work the way
I would
they
give it a point.
pause it, then that's effective as crap.
Claire's giving the M Drive a point for effectiveness or functionality. What about you, Nick?
I would give it a point if it works
Okay.
as advertised, and we can scale it to a number of different sizes.
Yes.
Right. I'm not giving it a point, and I think that's honestly why. Because right now, all we know, all they're saying it does, is generate a minuscule amount of thrust
Right.
in the size that we have right now. Like
Right.
less than solar sails give you.
Right.
And honestly, if we're talking interstellar travel, that is not going to be anywhere near my first choice.
Sure.
Like it could be awesome for a whole lot of other things, and it is awesome if it works, that it would change energy entirely everywhere in the world, the universe, I guess you'd say. But it would still be kind of a shitty way to get to Alpha Centauri.
Yeah.
True.
Unless you had a million of the things generating thrust. And I mean, even
then,
then,
copper tubes.
Yeah, for the size of that particular one, with the thrust that it produces, it's practically useless in terms of human lifespans. It's like this, like about like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I may change my answer then, because I don't know how effective it is if you have to have a tube this big to have a tiny amount of thrust. How gigantic is that ship?
All these are questions. Yeah. And we don't even know if it produces thrust. I mean,
well, but he's saying if it works as advertised.
If it works as advertised, it's still a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does that mean it goes back down to 2?
Yeah. My point, I think, is revoked, given how big it would have to be. Like, how much copper are we using to get any motion? And how is it ever going to get out of the atmosphere if it's that little propulsion?
Well, I think you'd have to have a regular, normal rocket ship.
Yeah, this would be a space engine.
Lame.
Yeah, it's not going to get you out of any planets.
No, yeah.
No.
None of these would get you. I mean, wormholes and portals. The others,
maybe, but do you really want them on your planet?
I mean, if it's a portal, I don't see why not.
Portal, yeah. Wormhole.
No.
Unless it's a portal. Unless the rules of physics are, this, like, they cross the portals as well, and then, if we open up to the wrong spot, we suck out our atmosphere or something weird like that.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah, it would be.
That would be bad.
I mean, imagine opening the drain at the bottom of a water or a bathtub. There it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna vote no on random portals or wormholes opening on inhabited planets.
We're making little black holes all the time.
Because that could never possibly go wrong.
They're the size of atoms, and they evaporate almost as soon as they come into existence.
So far,
yeah. Like, I don't care how you say that, and it is cool on a totally objective, totally cool, and we're learning a lot. But there is absolutely no way to say that paragraph where it does not sound like the opening of a blurb of a horror movie.
I mean, that might be
very true.
Mostly related to who's hearing it. But
oh yeah, absolutely. But I opened my computer once to like the news, and it had suggested headlines, and the 2 top headlines were NASA to send probe into the sun and hottest summer on record. Like, is now the right time for us to be poking the sun?
Right.
Yeah.
That's how you get solar flares. No, I don't know.
I mean, that's another fact of life that we don't like to think about. And that, the sun could change what it's doing at any time and fry us.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it doesn't like we should pray to the sun god that it doesn't do that. Like, seriously. There is a reason. Yeah. So many old religions prayed to the sun. They knew.
Yeah.
And we should also just say.
Yes.
Just say.
It'll kill us.
Don't kill
fast
us.
or slow.
Don't kill us, son. Do it.
We love you.
We love you.
So, solar sails.
We're terrified of you.
Oh yeah, solar sails effectiveness.
Seems pretty effective within the heliopause. But
yeah, I think very.
For interstellar travel, I don't know. I seriously, we're gonna need something else for interstellar travel, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Unless we can somehow get enough momentum within the heliopause.
We'd still need something to navigate with.
Yeah, we would. And the heliopause is the area around the sun where solar winds are. And so when you're out of that, you don't have, we don't know what's out there because we're not there. But,
right. Well, actually, though, one of the things I said specifically, that you do not use the solar winds for solar sailing. That it is the photons themselves exerting pressure against what they hit that causes it to work.
Oh, okay. Well, that is different then. So you just have to be within range of light. So that's okay.
Also, solar sails wouldn't necessarily need to be your main propulsion system. I've seen plenty of like sci-fi stuff where they have solar sails that they deploy when it's a good opportunity to collect more energy, even if it's not necessarily their constant method of energy.
Right.
So I think solar sails, yes, I would give it a point for effective. I think there's lots of ways you could use them.
Yeah.
Even if it's not your primary one, you could use them in a bunch of different ways. And I think they'd be a great like emergency way. That way, if your other propulsion system failed, but you happen to be somewhere where there was light, just open the solar sail. Like,
Well,
I think, yeah.
And if it's the photons themselves that are driving the ship, that opens up a lot more possibilities in terms of getting around. So, at that point you can aim a laser at it and you'll get propulsion there. So that's way more viable, and it is totally cool and probably very effective.
It is going to be very slow, though. I mean, it's not much more thrust than the M drive.
But does that depend on the intensity of the light that's hitting it? Because I can say, just between here and Mars, the light that you get from a solar panel is reduced, I think, 40%. It's like the effectiveness of a solar panel is 40%. So if you're really close to the sun, you might be going faster than if you're really far away. But if you have a really big, high-intensity beam of light, then it might be a lot more energetic in terms of its...
Also, I wonder if you couldn't like store it. Like I know they're different, but like on Earth, you have solar panels that can absorb the energy and you can store it like in batteries to use later. So maybe if you were somewhere like closer to Earth, you could chill, soak up some energy, and then use it later. Right? Make sense?
I mean...
Well, yeah, but that's not actually solar sails.
No, that's a solar panel.
Oh, they're more different.
Because it's energy that you're collecting rather than thrust.
Right.
And solar sails do work like sailing ships in that you tack against the source of light to change direction.
Right.
Like, unless you're beam sailing, you don't get a say in what direction the light's coming from. You have to adjust your sails so that it bounces you the right direction. And you can do that battery power. It wouldn't work the same. It would be a different propulsion system, I think.
Right. So maybe not super effective then.
Yeah.
Not for interstellar.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, it just depends on what you have driving it, Because, and the efficiency.
And I think,
how big the sail is, how small the actual craft that it's driving is. If it's like an atom thick and it's getting a whole lot of light, then that might actually be pretty impressively quick.
And actually what I could see that would be an interesting hybrid technology is a combination of solar sails and solar panels, where you charge up batteries from the solar panels to generate a beam for the solar sails when you're away from sunlight.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You could soak up a lot of extra energy in solar systems and then have a beam.
Maybe, but if you're shooting a beam off of the same craft that you're on, there's a negative
equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, so when you shoot the beam off, it sends you the other direction that the beam is traveling. And then if you then hit your sails with it, it would then just bounce you back into your position that you were in before you fired the beam.
Yeah, you're right.
You could just put the beam on the back of the ship.
or you build a station next to a sun that's got a really big beam on it, and that can.
I'm gonna say probably not effective, or not as effective as we would like.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the best we got right now. Probably.
We want to give it a single point for the three of us.
I'm gonna give it a point.
You're gonna give it a point?
I'm gonna give it a point. Yeah. I'm gonna give it a whole point.
Whole point all on your own.
And then you two should give it a half point each because yeah. You were both so pro solar sail before.
I know we were, but
I mean, was, and then you guys made it sound like it doesn't actually do anything. It just looks really pretty.
What? No, I didn't.
No, it does. It goes places. It just goes there very slowly.
I mean,
doesn't everything though? Doesn't literally everything on here that's not instant? Isn't it pretty slow?
That's my issue with the M drive, though.
Except for the last three, maybe not as much, but they're all so very hypothetical.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the more realistic it is, the slower.
Still, there is that. Yes, that's true. Okay, yeah, I will give it a point for effectiveness because I think it's a very flexible technology.
So generational ships, though, talk about slow. We're
Yeah.
talking you won't get out of this star system before you die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think
I'm gonna go with no points for effectiveness for me.
no. I agree.
Like that is a yeah. That's probably my lowest travel method of choice on this
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's
Yeah.
got a lot of, if for no technical reason, I think it has a lot of like moral issues. Basically, breeding people to carry out a specific mission has a lot of like, it feels icky to me, in a way. I don't like it.
It's naturally going to evolve into this weird religion with techno cults and other
Yeah.
bizarre trappings of weird religions.
It
like
would
that.
take away people's like freedom
know.
of choice and their freedoms in general, I think, to make it happen, and
Yeah, because your freedom's actually severely restricted on a spaceship.
Yeah.
almost completely. You don't even get to decide
Yeah.
what you're going to do with your life, and if you have a very finite biological population, even your partner choices are going to become more and more limited. I don't like it.
Right. Though, I mean, just from a moral perspective, how is that different from having a baby in a small town pre-industrial revolution? They didn't get a choice as to where they worked or where they lived. They could walk away, though.
Yeah, you could leave.
It's a big planet.
It and granted, how likely would you be to leave? Probably not very. But if you're on a spaceship, you literally can't leave.
Yeah, likelihood zero.
Yeah.
I mean, you can leave.
Yeah.
Well, no, they won't even let you. Like, you could
No.
leave and die,
There's one
except
way.
they've got limited genetic material.
Yeah. So you can't.
They're not
They'll-
going to
they'll-
let you.
They'll clone you.
Yeah.
But
If
you
they
can-
have
they know how
that
to clone.
technology.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they?
Well, and if they can't, then that opens up a whole nother. Yeah, no, I don't like it. Boo.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
give it
no,
0
I'm,
points.
I'm with you. What about cryogenics?
Also 0 points.
I think
Yeah.
if it worked as advertised, I think it'd be super effective.
Well, you'd still
You'd
have a
have-
time factor, though. Like, it would be
That's-
instantaneous for you,
Yeah.
but it would have been 400 years since you left. So it's not like you can turn around and go home.
Meanwhile,
No,
all these
but-
other ships are passing you by with like new engines.
But you're seriously telling me that we could not find enough people who were interested in science or who were scientists or physicists or engineers or whatever who wouldn't be like, yes, I will sacrifice my rest of my life on Earth to be able to go so far away that I will see things no humans ever even conceived of. Like you can
They
find
assume-
Absolutely.
you can
they-
find plenty of people who would be like, yes.
Absolutely.
And
But that doesn't make it effective interstellar travel.
It also
it depends on
doesn't-
the goal, I guess.
It doesn't make that statement accurate because, like, just look at how far we've come in 100 years. Now, granted, we hit on some crazy stuff, and it's been a hell of 100 years. But like, what if such a ship goes and launches, and everybody's asleep, and they're flying to Alpha Centauri, and 20 years after, or some number of years after, someone invents a drive that actually goes faster than light. So what, this poor little ship is just still going to Alpha Centauri, and it's gonna take them like 10,000 years to get there.
Yep.
No one
And
knows
they're
where
gonna
they
get there.
are.
Everybody's already there.
Everybody's already there. They're
Yeah.
no.
That
No,
is
but
not.
That's why it's a really hard sell because there's
Is it?
always going to be better technology.
But look
Yeah.
at when ships came like from Europe to America, the Americas. You had people who came over, didn't know what was going to happen, didn't know if they were going to die, didn't know anything, and they still struck out into the unknown. And then people would go back to Europe and maybe never ever come back.
I'm not
And they were
saying-
just like,
I'm not saying
I
it's not
guess
going to happen.
I guess Grandpa died on the ship back to England.
It's
well.
it's a hard sell, and the premise is not congruent with reality. That if you don't just wait 20 years, something better won't come along is kind of not what we've all experienced, right? So
Right. Well,
it would be weird to having had that experience then jump on a generational ship or no, pardon, a cryogenic ship and expect that to remain, the best
But that's
You know
era of
what?
technology.
It's assuming a lot about other technologies, though. Just the cryogenics itself, would it, if it worked the way people imagine it works, would it be effective? Yes. You'd have the same scientists trained for that mission, leaving and arriving in the same state that they left. It would be very effective, I think.
And then
At exploration,
we get their science in 400 years.
What do we have that's quicker? Maybe eventually something happens, but maybe it doesn't. And I don't think cryogenics can happen or will ever happen. So the argument is just if it were to work.
We're still sending probes out. We're sending probes out all the time, even though we know aren't we still getting data from some of the probes we sent out in the 60s?
I think so.
Don't know. I have no idea.
They may have all left by now.
Yeah, I think we got a message from Voyager at one point not too long ago, or like one of them that's really far out, and it was like, I'm going into interstellar space now.
Bye.
Bye. And then we never heard from it again, and
I'll
presumably it's done because it's been hit by so many radiations since then. It's probably totally fried.
Well, but see, should we not have sent those out because we may have had better technology?
That's not what I'm saying. You're talking about human lives versus a piece of metal that you can throw out and then get. It's different. You're not subjecting people to that. So
people might volunteer.
They might volunteer. They might also be crazy, and we should let the crazy people go on cryogenic ships if they want.
Well, I give it a point. I think if it works as
That's
advertised,
fine.
it's effective.
I'm not trying to not get it
It
pointed.
feels like you are.
I'm not.
I think I'm going to refrain from giving it a point just because either of those methods, cryogenics or consciousness transfer, to me seem like they come with a whole slew of other possible side effects and risks.
Yeah, and technologies that need to happen. Yeah.
And there are always people who, yes, will use this, and cryogenics might be a very interesting transitional technology where people are basically like, yeah, freeze me and shoot me to Pluto and I'll let you know what I find, or Alpha Centauri or whatever. But my thought is, generally speaking, I'm not willing to risk brain death just to get somewhere. Like, that's just me personally. Like, if it involves freezing me entirely and or like deleting my brain and re-uploading it somewhere, I'm not sure there are that many journeys that are worth that to me.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's my pick. So
we all get a journey like that at some point, you know? It's like...
Well, that's true. But we also don't know where we're going.
Yeah, exactly. No destination in mind.
Okay, portals, effectiveness.
If they work, vary. Yeah.
That's going to be one of the most effective things if they work and we can do it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a stable environment that presumably creates a seal between two places. If it works like that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to second that. Even if we have to send a ship using one of the really slow methods to get the original portal up, it would be worth it for the long-term use of that portal.
Especially if we can drive that portal to light speed or near it and then plant it near the original portal and then step back in time.
Okay, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But I think it's slightly out of the scope of this.
I mean, I'm just saying if we want to go back in time, that was apparently a way.
But who's gonna do that and not probably die?
Cursed Zet video. Someone sneezed. No, that was me trying to pronounce that channel.
Curse Gazette.
Yeah.
Curse Gazette.
Yeah. Link in the description. Definitely check them out. They're awesome.
They are.
And they're cute.
Adorable.
So I gave portals 3 points for effectiveness.
Yeah. Extremely effective.
Wormholes. Yes.
If they work like you said, they're not as effective as.
That's true.
But
so this is assuming that they work the way they do in like movies, where it's a wormhole that people can use reliably to get from place to place.
Right. Well,
wait, what? Because
somewhere in between. Because we have the theoretical physics of it, which says wormholes are only open instantaneously. And then we have the movies, which is like, hey, look, there's a wormhole, so it's just a giant highway between us and that thing 5 galaxies over.
If it's two different things that are so vastly different, I can't say whether or not I'd give it a point because, yeah, one works so totally different that I wouldn't give it a point, and then the other one
Right.
like is totally effective, and yeah, I'd give it a point in a heartbeat. I
Right.
have a problem.
I'm gonna say, in order for it to be effective, we'd have to have a way to stabilize it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have to be far enough away that it wouldn't endanger the Earth, but close enough that we could get there without it taking forever.
Are wormholes as dangerous as black holes? Do they have event horizons?
No, I don't know, but I wouldn't think
Me
so.
either.
I mean,
Maybe not.
I think the theory I've heard of wormholes is different from the theory that you presented of wormholes. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's hear your theory.
Well,
if you
it's
have a
not my
sec.
theory. I just heard that they were similar to black holes and involved gravitational wells and that kind
Oh,
of
okay.
thing. And were more of a tunnel than an interface of
Oh, okay.
two sections of space.
That's true. Wormholes, like portals, are instantaneous, but I don't think wormholes are theorized to be instantaneous. It's just a shorter.
If they make
much-
the tunnel type, yeah, because I've run into
Mhm.
that description of wormholes before. That's kind of what I assumed they were.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The tunnel that it may not be stable, but it's there for
Right.
like more than a millisecond.
Right.
I would say they're slightly less effective than portals, just because you, by definition, don't necessarily have control over the other end.
Yeah.
as
Or
much.
yeah, you don't know where where the other end is gonna be.
Yeah, conceptually, they're definitely not as effective as they
Mhm.
could be if we were to engineer.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not controllable.
And either way
Or
that they
knowable.
work, I mean, you'd have to get to it in the first place. It would have to be.
They're fighting.
It would have to, you'd have to get kind of lucky for it to be going to a
It's
place you
okay.
would want to go.
Richter.
And so I don't think it would be very effective.
Mm-mm.
I think it'd be a cool curiosity, and you might get lucky and stumble across one that takes you to a really cool place, but that's so likely to be. No!
The lap desk fell over and he's barking at it. Hold on.
So, any points for wormholes for effectiveness?
No. Not for me.
I'm gonna say
Okay.
I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna give it 1 point. Not because I feel it would be very effective, but I think it would be more effective than some other methods, maybe.
It'd be faster, certainly.
Yeah. So, okay, subspace.
It depends.
Yeah, that one I don't even know how to answer that
Yeah.
because
If it's like normal space, but it's like a pocket sort of dimension-ish thing. Like, those three bother me because they're so close and they're hard
and they're
to
so
parse.
theoretical.
Well, yeah, but like, so if you have a wormhole, you've got subspace in the wormhole, and you're traveling a shorter path to get to the other side of the wormhole, so it's
That's
essentially the
true.
same as subspace and
You're
portals.
right.
So it's like it's
Yeah.
hard to.
You know what? These two I saw very much how they overlapped, but this one I didn't see as much. But
I
you're
didn't
right. The
see that
difference
until
being,
now either.
yeah. Well, except subspace in some ways is both more and less effective than wormholes because you have
A whole dimension.
it's not just a linear. Yeah, you have a
you're
whole
right, you're right,
dimension.
you do.
Mhm.
So you can go a lot of different places, but that also means there's a lot more getting lost and possibly giant dragons eating you because we don't know what's in subspace.
Yeah,
Maybe it's full of
apparently.
bunnies and you can build cool stuff like in Minecraft.
That would be cool.
Yeah. But
But I'm gonna say I've never seen a fictional representation of subspace that subspace was not like incredibly dangerous and only accessible by a handful of people.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. No point from me.
Yeah, no point here.
Yeah, there's no
Sorry,
point.
subspace.
Sorry, I want you.
Sorry.
You're cool. I want you to work.
I know.
Mhm.
Well, it's a cool theory. I mean,
It is.
it's just. I mean, and if you have. I don't know. Brain just melted a little bit.
I think
Yeah.
cool for fictional stories,
So
but not effective.
ramjets, on the other hand, seem pretty effective.
Ramjets,
Potentially.
they seem to be effective. I don't remember what their speed was, but it's it's certainly higher than these.
Oh yeah.
They're dangerous as all
Yeah.
heck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though if they can get the magnetosphere idea to work, that would go a long way. But
Right.
still, you have giant hydrogen reactions going on right behind you.
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna say no. Also, I mean, maybe hydrogen's not the same as a like uranium bomb, but would it basically like irradiate your spaceship. So when you landed,
Well,
would it
basically,
be toxic to
Being in
people?
space will irradiate your spaceship.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but I mean extra. So like if you landed, would it instantly be like toxic to anybody near it or you when you came out?
If it were going to do that, it would be in that moment, well before you landed, and you died.
Well-
you wouldn't actually get there.
Yeah, that's true. If it were irradiated enough
Yeah, the theory is
for years.
with the weird like fields and the field collector thing that it channels the explosion and radiation away, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's a question: have we ever sent anything past the lunar sphere and brought it back to the Earth?
I don't know.
Because I don't.
Think
Pictures?
so. Yeah, I don't.
But
Data.
physically, I don't think we have, because that
Mhm.
got me thinking. Like, literally being in space is so much radiation that it makes Hiroshima look like nothing.
Yeah.
So why don't we have that problem? But it may be that inside the lunar sphere is still protected from the
I
worst
think
of space radiation.
I think it actually is. Like
Makes sense.
there's something about Earth's magnetosphere
I
that
th-
actually extends far out to the moon.
It does, yeah.
And
Yeah, that's what I thought.
there's like a dual system within the magnetosphere
Mhm.
thing going on, because
Okay.
the moon interacts. The moon actually has indications of tidal forces on it too.
Really?
I think it does, and it's the interaction
Sounds-
between the Earth and the moon that's kneading it like dough over billions of years.
Yeah, it moves a
it
little bit.
moves.
It's actually warmed up the core of the moon, probably, or kept it warm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is that? I think I remember hearing about something similar happening to Earth, like the moon.
That's
Like,
exactly
yeah.
how they interact with each other.
Yeah, they both palpate
Yeah.
each
Yeah,
other
that's it.
just enough so that it helps keep the Earth warm.
Right.
Also, I remember-
There is literally no way to explore that concept with your hands that does not look bad. Like, we all did the same thing.
well,
Victor, stop it.
yeah.
No.
It's just
So,
Ion drive. I mean, I'll give Ramjet a point for sure.
yeah. Did you give it a point, Clara?
no.
No?
He thinks we're gonna
I think
die.
I'm going to give it a point.
I think we'll all
If we
die.
can figure out the shielding. Okay. Ion drive. Effective or not?
You said the amount of
Effective.
propulsion is like M drive style, right?
No,
Like,
it's more than that.
It maybe. It's more than that, but not by a huge amount.
Not by a huge amount. But it's
It's enough that you can't tell it on, like, it's not. It is measurable on Earth, but in specific circumstances, like if you just have it in a field, you literally can't feel the thrust with your hand, is what I understood.
mm,
But I
it's
could be wrong.
it's small amounts, but over time, thing like space
Is
you
it-
have all the time.
Yeah.
So
I'm
And like we've talked about, you're not fighting against inertia in space. You don't need to keep adding acceleration the whole time you're out there.
it depends
That's
on how
true.
fast you're going, because eventually the amount or the particles that are hitting you are going to be so energetic that they'll slow you down if you're going fast enough.
pop through your.
Oh, okay.
They'll go through your ship, won't they?
They will go through.
Like, if you're
you'll
part
hit
of the
space
problem
dust
with-
and you'll get churned into Swiss cheese. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not even like you get a hole in your ship. It's like your ship turns into water and evaporates and boils off.
That's
into
not
space.
good.
Well, I mean, that's what happens with a collision that fast. It's really
Yeah.
it's
Vaporized.
horrifying.
Yeah.
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 It's like
I mean, at
nothing-
least it's over quick.
it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like nothing we have experienced yet on Earth, thankfully, in our lifetimes.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'm gonna say no.
yeah, I would give it a point. Ion drive for
Okay.
effectiveness. Yeah, it's already on satellites, pushing them into higher orbits. It's doing work.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
I'm gonna give it 1 point for me too. Give it a little bit of a. It's one of the more likely ones, I
Yeah.
think.
Yep.
And then the last one, warp drive.
1 whole 3 points from me.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. If it works.
And just
If
because
it
That's
works as
it.
advertised, yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't want to go faster than light? And then like
Right?
look at the light on your bumper and be like, light, get off my bumper. I'm gonna
That's
pass
right.
you. And then everything will look really, really blue, and then you'll
Mhm.
stop, and then the light behind you will hit you with the force of 1,000 bombs, and you'll die. No.
And you'll die
I-
in glorious thunder.
yeah. What happens when you hit light going faster than light, though? Does it just kind
I
of
don't
shed
think
off of your
anything.
windshield like
I
rain?
think
Well,
you
that's
would
what-
just pass
That's
it.
kind of what they show in Star Trek and Star Wars. Is
Yeah,
the
it just passes by
Yeah.
like that, like red shifting as it goes. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, but who knows? It could have weird properties that we're not aware of when you're going that fast. Like you could pick it up and hold it, throw it
tie it
around.
into
think-
knots.
Yeah,
I think it would, make the long lines, and then you would just see the line until you pass the light source.
it's very 70s.
Well, okay.
Like, design sensibility.
No. The reason I think that is because the stuff I've seen about time being the fourth dimension, the theory is that if you could see time the way we see other things in this dimension, you would essentially see everything like the example I was given was like a worm. So if you could see in the fourth dimension being time, you would see somebody in basically one long worm. So you'd see them from fetus, child, teen, young adult, old person. So you'd basically see them as one long entity because you'd see them all at once but through time.
That would be very, very difficult to parse.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so if you were
And it
passing
would look
light,
Human centipede. Sorry. Go.
well, thanks for making it gross and
It
creepy.
was already kind of there in my head. I'm sorry.
So I would think if you could basically go past light faster than the speed of light, you would do that. You'd see the whole beam of light from where you started and can see it, and you'd see the whole visible bit of it until you passed the source. Although even then, you'd see the source on the other side. So I think you would just see like a long line of light.
Basically, I'm imagining an old person that I'm just like seeing right in front of me. Like an old person is standing there, and then I like circle around, and their feet are really, really long, and they just go almost into infinity, and they have a very tiny baby at the end of their giant tail.
I mean,
Very
kind of,
strange.
because if you think of
They're
it
like,
like
they're like a human dinosaur.
we only see time in
With 2
instant
feet.
slices. So if you could see all the time, you'd see you a week ago, you'd see you a second ago, you'd see you every you
Kind
of every second.
Brontosaurus-like, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe our whole perception would be different.
Maybe slug-like, because they'd always be standing on the ground, so they'd just get gradually shorter. Sort of truncate.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
weird.
Possible.
They'd have a stripe of hair.
I
down
think you're
their
thinking.
back.
I think you're thinking about it too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of starting to creep me out now a little bit.
Honestly, it's
Yeah.
been creeping me out from square one. So
The point
Oh,
is,
okay.
you wouldn't see time in little slivers. Like we see light in little slivers, a point of light. But if we were going past the light as fast as it could move, it would be a stationary beam, as opposed to a dot.
I know, but I already hate the way fourth dimensional people see us.
Wormy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, who?
Okay, so shall we see who won?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
yeah.
we should.
It looks like our winner is Solar Sails with
Whoa.
8 out of 9 possible points.
Not too
Number-
shabby.
Number 2 at 7 is the Warp Drive,
Oh yeah.
which I think took some hits on feasibility, but
Yeah.
otherwise is promising.
Supported by
And
warped
tied-
personalities.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And tied for 3rd, we have Portals and Ramjet.
Who could have guessed that it would have come out this way?
What if we were to put a portal here and a portal here and a really big gravitational well here? We had a ramjet that we made go here, and it went through the portal and then came out the portal and just kept going. Ah.
Then we would have found our perpetual motion machine, and we could start powering shit forever, like with the M drive.
I feel like at that point we're going to be looking at reconfiguring planets in order to generate like thrust. Like we're just we're gonna start moving stuff around somehow and create giant crazy spaceships out of planets, and
Why though?
surround
Why?
stars with mirrors, leaving one
Why?
portion off so we can get like thrust from that. All kinds of crazy crap.
Why?
Why?
Why would you make a spaceship as big as a planet? Why wouldn't you just live on that planet?
That's for tier 3 civilizations to
That's-
know.
That's right.
On the
Fair
Kardashev
enough.
scale.
There
No, I
is
mean
no-
seriously, you get into tier 2 and tier 3 civilizations on that scale, and they start not being imaginable because
Well,
they would
yeah.
look like no civilization we've ever seen before.
Well, and almost not even relatable in a sense. Like what would we do with that? Power our TVs, our computers,
Right? Cell
like-
phones. We
yeah.
would never have to charge our cell phones again.
Right. Whereas
Finally.
a tier 2 civilization might take all the energy in their star and then travel to another galaxy with it. Because why not?
Right.
You know, it might take a million years. Why? Who cares? We download into the mainframe anyway, and then, you know, we just 3D print another body.
So
Yeah.
I feel like eventually, when we get to be that kind of civilization, we're just gonna build
I want to be there.
a
Sounds cool.
literal light rail. Like all this will just seem so quaint and ridiculous to us, and it'll just be like the urban light rail, only it goes between planets, and it's literally built of light.
I mean, that makes sense if E equals MC squared is true, you know? Right? Because you can't lose energy or mass is that the right one? I don't even know. Energy equals mass
That's
times
the
the speed
theory of
light squared.
relativity.
So, with that, I mean, if you can transform something into energy and send it as an intense beam of light, then you have light speed right there. So what, you know,
That's true.
And you don't have normal human consciousness either. So, I mean, maybe you do. What if you do?
Yeah. I mean, mass is just another form of energy,
Yeah,
according to science.
it's just highly energy dense. It's like a material. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how that works either. This is the sort of thing that I'm saying. Just my brain keeps going, no, I cannot do that. That is a
Yeah.
gymnastics that I am not prepared to handle.
I know, yeah.
Abort. Like, I'll get halfway through these pages and I'm going, this is fascinating and terrifying. It makes no sense.
Well, assuming we could transform people into energy and send them as a beam of light, we could do that with objects. We will not have any. There's essentially no cost to getting things into space or getting things from
That's
point
true.
A to point B. We just have to shoot it, and there it goes, and it's gonna get there. You know,
It's a big assumption.
it
though.
is a big assumption, but I'm assuming that meteorites aren't gonna fly in front of it, and random crap isn't gonna happen. It's
True.
pretty reliable. Like light speed happens really, really fast, and if the universe is a big place, and if you've got a chunk of light moving through it, odds are it's not going to get interrupted. So, I mean,
I suppose.
it would be crazy.
Still 4.5 years to the nearest star system, though.
That's crazy. Yeah,
That's
pretty
why we
crazy.
need faster than light travel.
Apparently.
Yeah.
There's no way we're ever leaving the galaxy without it, unless we do generational ships or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so big.
It's so big.
We could spend the rest of humanity's lifetime in the cosmos just getting to the other end of our galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And we could be doing that to find there's not really anything there.
we could.
That's true.
I mean,
You never know.
it was a really small chance that got us here in the first place, right? On this planet, maybe. So it's kind of likely that it's a small chance anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's also depending. I mean, judging from the age of the universe, it might be likely that we're one of the first.
Potentially,
So-
yeah.
Or at least one of the first in this type of universe right now, because it's come to this certain age. I actually heard a theory that was crazy cool, which was there was this period of time where the universe was all kind of like bathwater warm, and then life developed.
Oh,
during
I
that
just
point.
read about this, yeah. The
Yeah.
bathwater era.
Yeah, the bathwater era, and then like
Sounds
a bunch of
nice.
bacteria and stuff developed then, and that's why comets now are seeds for life.
Oh.
So that's
Oh, I think, yeah. I ran into that when I was looking at panspermia. The idea that life is
yeah.
spread throughout the universe.
Yeah.
And so it's already there in little nuggets, but there are a lot of random factors that need to line up.
We
for
should
them to be
totally
viable.
do another space one.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like panspermia and life specifically life
There's so many
developing
space ones.
and stuff. I think that would be
Yeah.
cool.
So many.
There is.
Yeah, I agree.
But
But yeah, we should do one on panspermia and alien life and
Yes.
that stuff.
I
and
agree.
the Fermi paradox. Everyone knows
Yes.
the Fermi paradox. And it would
Fermi
be fun.
paradox.
I don't think I know that.
Enrico Fermi, basically everyone was sitting around drunk, and he started trying to calculate the odds of life existing in the planet or on other planets, and came up with the question. He wasn't calculating shit, actually. He came up with the question, why aren't we getting, if life is common, why haven't we heard about it or seen it, or there's no evidence of it? And there are a bunch of solutions to that, many of which are really frightening. And cool to talk about, and I'm not going to go into it because, like I said, great fodder for a different video.
Yes.
But it's just always a fun discussion. Like, it's one of those, and it's totally done to death, but it will be fun.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
I think as part of a bigger, like, panspermia, life in the universe episode, I think we can stick it in there, and it'd be really cool.
Makes sense.
Fermi paradox, panspermia, and there was one other that just disappeared out of my head again.
Bathwater.
Oh no, Nick was talking about it last week or the week before. The filtering events.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the great filters or whatever. Yes. Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that coming up at some point.
Yeah.
That's part of the Fermi paradox. That's one solution to the Fermi paradox.
Okay.
That there's just, it's real hard. Real hard.
It's real hard.
Real hard to get alive, stay alive. And this whole universe just wants to kill us
Indeed.
all the time.
True.
It's so
What
sad.
was the quote earlier? You're lucky you even see it before it kills you. Like most of the universe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's apt.
Fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
for
Well, thank you for.
Yeah, that was
doing a rocket
great.
race
Yeah, that
with
was
me.
fun.
Well
Good
done.
job, solar sails.
I will
Yeah.
not clap, but I will thank you. Thank you.
Hooray to you, solar sails.
I'll clap on the back of my hand. Golf.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you for joining us for the Odd Times Issue 5 Space. How do we go from here? Wherein we had a delightful rocket ship race through the stars on our various drives and weighed them in certain ways. At any point, please join us next time for our undetermined subject video that we will be debuting on a Thursday. We will let you know when we do on Thursday. Please like and subscribe, and message us if you're curious, or post comments if you have any comments. And
You can also follow us on Facebook if you want additional updates and information on our topics.
absolutely.
Tell us what parts of science we did not get right in
Yes.
this video, because I'm sure there was a lot of that.
I hope there are some motivated people who know science who are like, these people should not be even talking about this. Really hope they come, get in touch and tell us where we're wrong,
absolutely.
and then we can interview them on,
Yep.
via Skype.